We are no longer conductors of the divine will. We become semiconductors or even resistance. We must move from resistance to at least a semiconductor, and then to a conductor. You lease yourself to God. And when you have leased yourself to God, you are no longer a human being. You are a vessel of God, His illusory body. Life ceases to be the suffering of a personality and becomes the bliss of God within us as a divine personality. In the state of self-surrender, consciousness can materialize any phenomena or events, like printing them on a three-dimensional printer. This printer is consciousness, not the consciousness of the ordinary ego. Very often a person places oneself first, but when there is only I, there is no God. And when there is no God, there is no divine mercy, no divine grace. Self-surrender Pranam is a principle in which I or we are not number one. We do exist, of course, but as number two, number five. When we are able to remove ourselves, life becomes far more multivariant. The first option is when there is only us and nothing but us, then God is absent. The second option is when we are able to remove ourselves. We are no longer in the foreground. We are on the second, third, or 10th plane. But precisely when we are absent, God appears, His power, His wisdom, His grace and mercy. Then two modes of life open before us. Pranam is the practice of removing oneself. It is a very happy, joyful, pleasant state when we remove ourselves. For when we do not remove ourselves and are excessively present, it resembles a situation actors encounter in cinema or theater when a director tells an actor who is overacting, "There is too much of you, play more restrained." And when an actor underplays, they are told, "You are not there at all, there is no role." The art lies in finding balance, because in samsara we often overplay. When we are fully identified, there is too much of us, and this blocks divine mercy, divine grace, divine wisdom. We are no longer conductors of the divine will. We become semiconductors or even resistance. In radio electronics, this is clear. Conductor, semiconductor, resistance. We must move from resistance to at least a semiconductor, and then to a conductor. This is what it means to remove oneself. Yet there are also moments when we remove ourselves too much. If we lose our personality, become diffused, blurred, lose control over our life, and become inadequate, this is also incorrect. The cosmos of God is infinite, and within it we would dissolve like a speck of dust, unnoticed. This must not happen uncontrollably. Self-surrender must be intelligent. If we lose control over our life, the strength of intention, the vector of development, then in the collision with divine reality we dissolve. It is then said that we have lost action in the view. We failed to master that boundless flow of freedom, grace, wisdom, and mercy. We lost ourselves in it. We lost the vector of development. Therefore, dedication is the art of how to give oneself to God while developing correctly. Pranam is a symbol of such dedication, of removing oneself when we make God number one and ourselves number two or three. It is said that in Satya Yuga, in ancient times, people lived in samadhi, being enlightened. They were siddhas, immortal, or they left the body through samadhi, transferring consciousness. They possessed miraculous powers, communicated with gods, and did not have the worldly desires and egoism that modern people possess. They lived in unity with God, in a state of self-surrender. This is yoga. But Kali Yuga began to take this capacity away from people, and therefore the gods ceased descending to humanity. The contact between humans and gods is no longer what it was in Satya Yuga. The mind, manas, began to dominate. Egoism, ahamkara, karmic activity, and delusion. The connection with God, the chain linking us to God, began to break. When we remove ourselves, contemplative presence awakens naturally by itself. Meditative experience arises in the state of removing oneself as choiceless awareness, as expanded consciousness, as the experience of unity with God in the body. Bhava is causeless happiness and joy. These are the first initial signs. Pure perception of Samaya brothers and sisters, perception of Dharma in the Guru as pure vision, absence of worldly desires, fullness, integrity, self-sufficiency, subtle harmony, according to the principle, I agree with everyone, and the entire universe agrees with me. There is nothing to divide, nothing to clarify. No one attacks me, and I attack no one, because I have removed myself. I do not interfere with anyone, and no one interferes with me. And even if due to the fruits of past karma, someone or something interferes, I am not disturbed. I accept it. I do not make it a problem, for I have removed myself and I am not there. When we remove ourselves, life ceases to be karma, anxiety, concern. It becomes joy, play, what it truly is for saints and gods. Life ceases to be the suffering of a personality and becomes the bliss of God within us as a divine personality. The personality itself is seen as playful, illusory, empty, not existing separately from God. This subtle transition from the dimension of karma, egoism, action and results from this limited world is perceived by the soul as a miracle, as something extraordinary. And indeed it is so. Amazement at encountering the view, at encountering God through self-surrender. This phenomenon is called chamotkara, astonishment, inspiration from meeting divine grace, divine wisdom, divine will, and self-surrender. This is what we must first practice and then understand spontaneously. Yet self-surrender cannot truly be practiced as effort. However, at the beginning there is no other way. Therefore, pranam is the practice of self-surrender. Seva is also a way to practice self-surrender. Many believe that seva is the accumulation of merit. Yes, merit is accumulated, but this is not its essence. It is only a secondary result. In essence, seva is self-surrender, a way to remove oneself, a way to become an empty vessel, a conduit of the divine, a way to learn not to strive for fruits and results, not to appropriate them, not to see oneself as the doer, but to enter the flow of divine grace and divine consciousness, the flow of play. If you attempt to do seva in a merely human way, it will not work. Seva arises only from play, self-surrender and grace. There were many people with very serious minds, rigid templates, who came and said, now we will do it this way, make a business plan, attract investors. I told them to act, but to be prepared that without devotion and self-surrender, it would not work. Because this is not a business project, different laws operate here. But if there is self-surrender, faith, devotion, everything begins to happen. Why it happens is a mystery, yet it somehow happens. The secret lies in faith and self-surrender. The key point is self-surrender, self-surrender. You do not act, but God acts through you while you do nothing. Like an instrument, you lease yourself to God. You do not merely agree, you want God to fully lease you. And when you have leased yourself to God, you are no longer a human being. You are a vessel of God, His illusory body. And vessels of God do not live in karma. They play in the stream of divine grace. Thus, when we remove ourselves, our attitude toward life changes. Everything that matters in life matters only when we are present. When we remove ourselves, all that once mattered ceases to matter, and conversely, what seemed insignificant in worldly life becomes supremely important. God, the divine world, abiding in awareness, the view, contemplation, divine play, filling with bliss and grace, merging with Shiva, Shiva Sayuja, self-recognition, Shiva Pratyabhijya, these become meaningful. Everything already exists originally in Shiva. The philosophy of Shaivism and the philosophy of cognition within Shaivism state that everything exists in the space of Shiva. Absolutely everything that can be conceived already exists, created not by us but by Shiva. It may be manifest or unmanifest, depending on the relationship we establish with what already exists. Our consciousness and will play the role of manifestors of what Shiva has created. We do not create, everything is already created, but consciousness can serve as a revealer. In self-surrender, we enter unity with Shiva and understand that everything already exists within the limits of our consciousness and will. We can direct what Shiva has created to manifest or not to manifest. This is the secret of creation from emptiness, the secret of parasatarka logic, the secret of siddhas. In the state of self-surrender, consciousness can materialize any phenomena or events, like printing them on a three-dimensional printer. This printer is consciousness, not the consciousness of the ordinary ego, but the consciousness that has surrendered itself to Shiva. In self-surrender, one can print, materialize, manifest any situation, destiny, causal chain, wealth, energies, provided consciousness is surrendered and endowed with merit force, vikriti. The speed of manifestation depends on the light of merit you possess. One can manifest not only gold or wealth, but, as some saints do, vibhuti, necklaces, pendants, bracelets, and even events, causal relationships, even a person, which is the most inconceivable. Such a person simply enters your life with predetermined characteristics, eye color, hair color, traits of character, past. You can ask Shiva because everything you can imagine has already been created by him. That person exists somewhere in the infinite space of Shiva's consciousness. You do not create them. Shiva has already created everything. But your consciousness can act as a manifesting catalyst. Therefore, in Yoga Vasishta, Vasishta says, wherever and whatever consciousness intends, that manifests there. This is the theory of spanda. Our will activates spanda, the divine vibration. And divine vibration creates all phenomena from the emptiness of Shiva. In self-surrender, you can remove yourself, but removing yourself does not mean cutting off your life force or will. Removing oneself is connected with contemplation and the opening of divine grace. Our will is not blocked when it finds correct application and establishes a connection with cosmic will, which is then recognized as one. This is not loss of awareness. On the contrary, it is the union of our awareness with cosmic divine awareness. They become one. This is reunion with the source of will and awareness. When we do not remove ourselves, many problems arise with other people. One has not removed oneself, and the other has not removed oneself. If one is present and the other has removed oneself, then God can live in the soul of the other. If both remove themselves, it is the ideal case. One says, "How can I serve you?" And the other replies, "No, how can I serve you?" Both have removed themselves. But when neither removes oneself, one demands fulfillment of desires, and the other demands the same, and there is no understanding. When we remove ourselves, harmony arises by itself. We do not practice special pacifying techniques or chant mantras for harmony. The very state of removing oneself harmonizes everything. There are no preferences, no strong attachments. Wisdom and meditative qualities arise naturally because they are inherent in self-removal. Reunion with the view and contemplation occurs. Vairagya, renunciation, also comes by itself. The number of desires decreases, while thirst for the divine, the aspiration to abide in grace and act with God, increases. We begin to acutely feel the connection with God, which becomes the most important thing. What is unimportant for the ego becomes central. In the state of removing oneself, something else is very important, a connection with God. In the human world, cars, houses, status, power, reputation, bank accounts, external attributes are considered important for worldly people. For angels, connection with God is important. In the heavens, without connection to God, there is no life, nothing. Their entire existence is service to God, meditation on God, contemplation of God, glorification of God, surrender to God, love for God. External attributes of power are only consequences. The same is true for sadhus. When you remove yourself, ananda, bliss, never leaves you. Brahma Aham Bhava, the feeling of unity, I and God. Divya Bhava, the sense of divine presence, greatness, purity, beauty, harmony, serenity, subtlety, genius, transcendence. Boundless love, compassion, equanimity, various types of samadhi, all of this manifests in your life. Divine grace flows in proportion to how much we have removed ourselves and how consciously we have done so. Remove yourself deeply, and grace comes in great torrents. Remove yourself slightly, and it comes as a thin stream. The sense of being a conduit of divine will, the hand of the Lord, a vessel of divine wisdom, an ocean of divine wisdom. This is how self-surrender grows, uniting you with Shiva. All of this is one pranam that you perform every day. These are the consequences of pranam. And Dattatreya in the Dhanarva Tantra says that through pranam all three worlds are conquered, and all gods favor the one who performs pranam. And my blessings are that pranam may always bless you.